Hi, my name is Diana Karamakoska, and in this video we will be looking at strategies for effective documentation. When we are documenting, we must ensure that we are using person-first language. Always put people at the center of your language. That's why it is person-first. This is not the same as first-person writing, where we are referring to ourselves in the form of I, me, we, etc. You are centering your documentation language around your client. This ensures that the other person is held in esteem. They are not reduced to a body part, a room number, or a condition. And the other person is not discussed in an offensive, belittling, or dehumanizing manner. So as an example, you would not say that asthmatics should avoid, but rather you could try people with asthma should avoid. As professionals, we should maintain a level of integrity in the language we use. This will ensure a number of things, like assisting in documenting objectively, establishing and maintaining respect from our clients and peers, and this will reduce the risk of misinterpretation and upholds the reputation of the profession and your organization. As an example, using professional language, you would not say that when Jane heard the bad news, she went psycho, but rather you would phrase it in this way. Jane became very upset when she heard the news that, and another one, the scar on Daniel's hand looks awesome. We would definitely not want to document that in that manner. We need to stay more factual and descriptive. So we would say, the scar on Daniel's hand is pink, flat, and soft. Considerations to make when you are writing in a professional language for documentation purposes. Who will be reading your document, and who is the intended audience? Is it health professionals in your discipline? If so, then you can use discipline-specific terminology, as that is appropriate and the health professionals will understand. However, if the health professionals are not from your discipline, then consider generic terminology because it will be understood by all health professionals. In addition, if you're looking at clients or the public at large, then your document should be written for people who are not familiar with health terminology and should use lay terms as much as possible. If you need to use professional terminology in your document, then it is helpful to actually explain the point further. Remaining objective in your documentation is also very important. It distinguishes between opinion and fact. Being objective requires us to state the facts rather than stating our opinions on the matter. So as an example, you would not write that Susan was a loner. Instead, you could say that Susan appears to have a limited social network. Or if Susan discloses to you that she feels this way, you may write, Susan reported that she was a loner. Now, examples of behavioral characteristics. You would not document that Peter has no social skills. Instead, you would say that Peter does not maintain eye contact and does not take turns in conversation. It is important that you do not criticize in your documents. You would not say that the previous physio obviously misdiagnosed Kylie's injury. Instead, you would report that Kylie said she was previously diagnosed with a tendon rupture. Upon assessment today, it appears that the tendon is intact. Now, with the use of abbreviations and jargon, it should be avoided as much as possible. In health and helping professions, we need standardized terminology and abbreviations. These are for clarity in recording information, for research and audit purposes, and for financial reimbursement of services provided by professionals. It also reduces the time required for health professionals to document. But not all abbreviations are acceptable. Mostly, health facilities will have an approved list of abbreviations which staff are able to use, and you should get familiar with them when you're entering the organisation. Other abbreviations which are not on the approved list should not be used as they may be misinterpreted. Some examples of these approved abbreviations are 4WF, looking at the four-wheel frame, AIDS, which we know to represent acquired immune deficiency syndrome, and ASAP, which is as soon as possible. Now I want you to put your thinking cap on and try to interpret what this example says. It does appear quite technical and very specific to a health field or organisation. The translated version looks like this. The patient was extremely short of breath on exertion due to their acute exacerbation of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. The patient ambulated, walked with a pickup frame, non-weight bearing on their right lower limb. The patient's blood oxygen saturation was 83% after walking 20 metres. The patient was returned to bed and nursing staff were informed of the patient's low blood oxygen saturation. The patient is awaiting inpatient rehabilitation at Liverpool Hospital tomorrow. As you work alongside other professionals and begin to familiarise yourself better with the hospital or organisation's terminology, you too will also be able to understand that brief note that was presented earlier. Some important notes to remember. As you begin learning the art of documentation, it is important to draft proofreads. Check for sentence lengths, and also for grammatical errors and spelling mistakes. Interestingly enough, these are types of things that you need to be mindful of when you are constructing your assignments. And we focus a lot on this in your assessment criteria and the feedback we provide to assist in improving your language skills. You should also obtain feedback on your documentation that you have drafted. You might like to seek feedback from your supervisor or a more senior member of staff on your documentation. Again, this will help you improve your written communication skills and you will retain a better, more formalized copy of this documentation once finalized. Remember, documents are legally able to be used in court. You need to make sure everything you write is true, accurate, and reflects actual events. Think very carefully about what you write, because it may impact on someone's life, it may affect your future treatments, and it may also affect your career. Here are a few actual notes taken by health professionals that probably forgot the skills that we have just discussed in this video. These are good examples of what not to do when you are documenting.